My name is Claire Morgan. Thank you for joining me this evening. Beside me stands one of the most memorable paintings about the American Revolution, Archibald Willard's Spirit of '76, painted in 1876 for America's centennial celebration. This painting reflects the dominant Whig historiography of the 19th century due to the historical writings of George Bancroft. As Dr. Schultz pointed out in his presentation, Bancroft stressed patriotism, clearly seen in this painting, nationalism, and American exceptionalism in his famous History of the United States. Art stirs emotions, like patriotism, but also informs. In fact, one part of public history is art, a useful tool in teaching students the importance of history. Because art is important to history and to shaping memory of past events, Congress commissioned the huge murals that hang in the Capitol Rotunda. It's interesting that 4 of the murals were painted by John Trumbull. As a young man, Trumbull chose to fight in the Revolutionary War, becoming an officer and an aide-de-camp to George Washington. After leaving the Army, he wanted to paint significant events of national history, saying, "The greatest motive I have for painting has been the wish of commemorating the great events of our country's revolution." Besides his paintings, Trumbull also left us an autobiography. Another American painter and contemporary of Trumbull's was Charles Willson Peale, who painted 7 portraits of General Washington, as well as of Continental Army officers Henry Knox, Nathaniel Greene, and Anthony Wayne, to name a few. Peale also fought in the war, seeing action at Trenton and Princeton under the command of General Washington. He wrote memoirs that are now in the keeping of the American Philosophical Society. These 2 men's paintings and autobiographies serve as important primary sources in the study of the Revolutionary era. Both painters were ordinary people, but also committed patriots who believed in America's right to separate from Britain. The other thing that's important is that these men painted these portraits based on live sittings with the individuals. Besides studying paintings, visiting the homes of the founders, like Washington's Mount Vernon or Thomas Jefferson's Monticello and Poplar Retreat, and Madison's Montpelier, is another way to experience history. But we must remember something about public history itself. The public history movement started in the 1970s as an offshoot, in part, of the social justice movement. Consequently, some new interpretations of the Revolutionary era began to appear. The New Left debunkers like Howard Zinn and other newer progressive-leaning historians who stress class struggle, minority rights, or social justice, and historians like Joseph Ellis, who completely rejected providential interpretations like that of George Bancroft. But there also appear those who reaffirmed providential themes, men like Donald Lutz, Michael Novak, and Ellis Sanda. These interpretations influenced the docents, guides, curators, and display coordinators of all public history venues. That is why it is important for Christian educators to prepare students before they take them on field trips to historical sites. Ignorance of other historical interpretation, those outside of biblical principles, is not bliss. The Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." As Christian educators, we need to teach from a biblical perspective, acknowledging God's sovereignty over history. But we must also make our students aware of opposing views so that they are not blindsided when visiting these historic venues. Thank you for joining me.